Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Cat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts?
Addicts, aficionados?
Ooh, I like that. Experts.
Experts.
Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of TV My Husband Hates. How you doing, Reagan?
We're good. We start our home reno in less than a week, and we're getting prepared to move into our basement. All of us.
That sounds not stressful at all.
It's been really nice because I've been selling a lot of stuff and getting rid of a lot of stuff. And for me, like, big purging always feels really good.
Me too.
But, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell. I think listeners will be able to tell as the weeks go on how the living in the basement with all your family is going.
How my mind slowly declines.
I love you with all my being, but I also know that you, like, if you're over some shit, there's no hiding that. So I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, I'm really excited for when it's going to be done, and that's what I'm really trying to hold on to. Like, it's the first time I've ever bought appliances. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm excited to see it when it's done, but it'll be interesting until then. At least the kids will be in school. Like, at least we didn't start this at the beginning of COVID, and we were all going to be in the basement all the time, every day, forever. So we'll see.
Well, obviously my kids are not yet. I mean, one of them is, the other isn't until the 28th. I could talk about it, but just go to my Instagram. I'm bitching about it on there every day. So, yeah, I mean, we're nearly there. The light is on. I can see it, almost touch it, but as yet, still a significant amount of dark tunnel to go. But it's fine. I'm nearly there, powering on through. I'm like you in the basement. I'm just holding on to the happy thoughts.
That's right. That's the name of the game for the rest of the year. Just hold on to those happy thoughts until 2021.
Oh, God. And that's assuming that 2021 is going to be any better. I sort of have this horrible feeling that, like, the ball's going to drop on New Year's Eve, you know, that kind of midnight thing, and this big voice is just going to go, round two. And we're going to be like, all over again.
It's going to be like Nailed It. So we've been watching Nailed It every Friday night with the kids. We have, like, pizza and Nailed It night. And one of Heath's favorite things is to go, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're done. And that's what the voice is going to say.
I hope that's what the voice says. Either that, or we all just have to fucking shout Jumanji and just get the shit out there. You know what I mean? Like, this is, God, it's like, you know, we're going to talk about, Dorinda at the beginning of this episode is like, 2020 is going to be a great year. And I'm like, I'm not falling into that trap again. I'm not going to sit here and go, 2021 is going to be a great year. I'm going to expect the motherfucking worst.
Yeah.
And then it can only go up from there.
I mean, the good thing for us is that our election happens in November, so we'll kind of know what next year is going to hold for us.
You'll have a good indicator.
We'll have a good indicator. It'll go either way.
God help us all. Anyway, shall we get on to the shows? Because we lost Real Housewives of Beverly Hills this week because, of course, it was the first week of the reunion, so we'll be doing a minisode, so we're down to 4 shows, and the first of that is Real Housewives of Potomac.
And this is the girls' trip to the lake house, which I don't know if, like, lake house is a thing in the UK, actually. Like, here, I grew up, like, my step-grandparents had one, and it was not a Monique Samuels lake house by any means, but it was like a tiny little house that was, like, on a really cool lake in Texas, and we went and celebrated it. It was not private chefs and guest quarters and the fanciness that these women are accustomed to.
That being said, though, there is a bit of me that's like, I feel like Monique, we saw her, we discussed how she was maybe getting a touch of the overwhelmed last week. And then this week, I feel a bit like she's doing that thing that we're all guilty of, where we just put so much pressure on ourselves to do everything. You know, like, take all our friends and host them at the guest house. Like, potty train our kids, potty train our bird. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's all relative. But essentially, there's part of me that's like, Monique, you need to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, she needs to slow down. I mean, especially because she drove out to the lake house and got it ready for everybody. It's like, you've got the money. Hire someone to do that.
I know, it seemed crazy. It seemed like I sort of recognized a little bit of myself in that kind of, I can do it all. And then you find me in the corner rocking and crying, just like
eating your own hair.
Over. Yeah, exactly. So I felt like I just want to say, babe, this is not worth it. Like, let them turn up to the lake house, put their own fucking sheets on. But I appreciate it. It looks fun. Pre-departure, though, we have yet another really just dispiriting and heartbreaking exchange between Ashley and Michael.
I hate Michael.
I hate Michael too.
I mean, I can honestly, from my guts, say that. He's so despicable.
He's a bad man.
Like, here he is giving his, what? 'Cause, like, their baby's like 3 months old, right? Giving her loads of shit for going away on a girls' weekend after, she's had this baby. She's really struggling. She obviously needs, like, some friendly time. And he is essentially refusing to look after the kid, but not even in, like, a direct way, like just making her feel guilty for possibly leaving the baby.
Well, it's manipulating at its highest standards. He's like, you can't leave this baby. He's too young. He needs his mum. It's like, no, he doesn't. I mean,
no,
obviously he needs his mum, but
dad.
He'd also be fine without her. You're his dad. Like, this whole thing, like, mums are more important. It's not like this baby is relying on her for boobs. She is doing mixed feeding and she's pumping and all the rest of it. I also feel like there have been clear discussions about her in terms of postpartum depression and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Any loving husband might go, do you know what? Like, you need a break. Go. Even Chris Samuels is like at home with the kids. All right, she's got nannies and babysitters to help him out. But this is not something that Ashley could have done. Michael was like, I don't want to say gaslighting because I feel I use it all the time, but he was like, just emotionally manipulating her.
Well, and why couldn't he have had a nanny come and stay with him and the baby?
Right, but even beyond the logistics, it wasn't about the logistics.
No.
It was, when I watched it, I was like, you misogynistic, fucking lazy twat.
Yep.
And then I saw the trailer for the next episode where there's indications that he's been out partying inappropriately. Yeah. And I thought, was that the only reason that he just wanted them out? And I think it's a bit of fucking both. I think he didn't want to look after the baby, even if he didn't have plans. I don't think, even if he wasn't going to hang out with strippers all weekend, I don't think he would have gone, listen, I'll take the baby.
No, I don't think he really wants anything to do. Like, I think he wants something to do with the baby, like, oh, look how cute, our family's so happy kind of thing, but not like any of the nitty gritty, like actually taking care of the baby. Like, no. I think he just wants it to be all her. And I mean, I don't know. I want to say like, well, he does have 2 older kids, like he's beyond that stage in his life, but you know what? That's bullshit. I don't think he was probably there for his other kids either.
No, and I also think that there's part of him subconsciously or consciously that's playing on Ashley's very negative relationship with her father. I feel like she is going to let Michael get away with a ton of shit. She's not going to put a ton of pressure on him. She's not going to put expectations on him for fear that he would up and go and leave her with her kid in the way that her mum was left with her. And I think it's just really dark.
It's super dark. And I feel like we haven't seen it, but I'm sure I feel like there were conversations when they were talking about getting pregnant that he was like, well, you will take care of the baby. Like, this is what you want. And I think that's what he's playing up to. And I just think it's gross and despicable. And I feel really bad for her.
Yeah, me too. And you think you'll never know whether that postpartum depression is kind of exacerbated or even triggered by the fact that she potentially has a partner that isn't just not helpful, but is actually potentially harmful emotionally. Yeah, it's just a really dark thing. And it's such a weird insight that we have, right? We've got this like peephole into their bedroom, literally, where he is telling her this stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems so glaringly obvious to us watching it, but she's hearing it and doesn't seem to really be as offended or upset by it as she should be.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait for the reunion because I am 100% sure people are going to call him out for that,
Oh,
like
I mean,
question-wise.
no
So
doubt.
it'll be interesting to see what she'll do. I mean, I would love for her to be like, yeah, we're done. Like, all that was bullshit. But I feel like she's kind of like a stand by your man kind of gal. And
Yeah.
she's just going to stay with him regardless. And I think that's sad and probably pretty harmful to her and her kid. But
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
it is.
But then they head off to the beach house, and I mean, it's a lovely house, and it's really swanky and gorgeous. But I do worry about Monique and just managing all of this stuff. And she turns up. Now, remind me, who arrives with who?
Okay, so I believe
Monique, Giselle, and
Karen.
yeah.
Karen.
They all turn up together, and then Wendy is the next one in. So
Yes.
Robin's the next one in, and then Wendy is in.
Yeah,
Now,
Robin was actually on time.
who would have sunk?
Yeah.
And we see a very different side to Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy loses her fucking shit. And I felt like it's been really out of, like, we haven't seen that side of Wendy up to this point. And you and I were talking kind of before recording about kind of why this all happened, because I'm really confused by it, because she goes off on Ashley because Ashley brought her baby. The first part, I kind of agreed with her and was like, yeah, dude, it's like a girls' weekend, whatever. Obviously, we know there was no way in hell Ashley could have left her baby, so she kind of had to bring him, right?
Yeah.
But I still don't understand why Wendy's going off on Ashley like it was her choice whether or not Wendy could bring her baby.
Well, so here's my take on it.
Okay.
So I think what happens is they come in and they bring the baby, and Wendy's shocked. She's like, oh, you brought your baby. And Ashley was like, I just can't really leave him right now. Like, I tried and I thought about, I mean, the reality is, even if she was ready, clearly she couldn't leave him anyway.
Yeah.
But she says, I just wasn't ready to leave him, and da-da-da-da-da. And I think that triggers in Wendy this kind of, well, is the implication that I'm not as devoted as a mother, that my bond isn't strong enough if our kids are the same age and you don't feel comfortable leaving your kid, but I do. And I can understand that, right? I can understand that even though she's not a new mother and they go out their way to kind of say that, she is still in that new mum phase where she's got hormones raging and she's pumping and she's breasting and all of that stuff, and there's a lot going on. So I feel like that was the trigger. It felt like
she felt mum shamed, essentially.
She felt mum shamed, exactly.
Which I can get.
I can understand that, and I think she takes that out on Ashley for that reason.
Got it.
That being said, I feel like she had time between that particular outburst and dinner when they all sit down to kind of process what had happened. And even if I can say, not justified in her response, but I can understand her response, I feel like an apology was owed to Ashley, and that was pretty cut and dry.
I 100% agree. And Wendy just double downs on the fact that she's giving no apology.
And not just double downs on it, but really goes for Ashley in terms of her character and what kind of person she is, and that she's fake, and that's really nasty about it. And then I'm like, well, where is all this shit coming from? Like,
right.
That didn't seem to have any root in kind of any rationality or any fantasy that I could kind of get on board with. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't find any reason for her to be that vicious towards Ashley.
No. And I don't know. I mean, I think you're right about the triggering episode, but I mean, that doesn't excuse the dinner. And I don't know where the dinner stuff came from at all. Because I don't feel like I feel like Ashley has been nothing but like very real this season. Like, we're only like, what, 5 episodes in. Like, there've been no time.
Very patient. She's had a lot of people kind of be very kind of emotionally twatty to her, and she's just kind of been patient, showed kindness when the opportunity has arisen. And I almost have no doubt she'll do it again with Wendy. And she really kept her cool as much as she could have been expected to. You saw her start to lose it a bit, but I'm not surprised because it came so far out of left field. But this is the thing with Wendy. I'm like, okay, you've just had a massive screaming fight in somebody else's house with a group of women that you've only just met.
Yeah.
Surely there's a period of reflection between that and sitting down for dinner with them,
right?
Where you go,
shit, I lost my shit. I'm sorry.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm still dealing with hormones. I was a dick. I'm really sorry.
Blame it on anything, babe. Like, I don't care. Blame it on whatever you like, but just, there's no doubt, there's no argument that you do not owe her an apology. You do, of course you do.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about her. I feel like, I don't know whether she's doing that thing of new housewife and just coming in and being sassy and feeling like she has to kind of prove her worth, but it's a bit like the below deck thing. She's such a fucking smart woman, and to have her come on and just be a mean girl just is so disappointing.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, because obviously they're still at the lake house this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from this point forward. Like if an apology does come, maybe not when like other people dictate it to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But we'll see. Yeah. It's a spicy girls' weekend, man.
Well, and these girls are pretty self-righteous when it comes to demanding apologies from people. Like, sometimes you do need somebody, you need to do it in your own time.
Right.
But she didn't handle it well.
Not at all. Not at all. But one apology that goes really well is the one between Candace and Giselle.
Man, I'm really impressed with Candace. Like, I feel like she's going to fuck up and she's not getting everything right, but she is owning that shit. And she does seem to be managing things in a much less impetuous and reactive way. I think that's her difference. She's really trying not to be as reactive this season.
I agree. I feel like she's really trying to take a step back and let things sink in before she responds to things. And I think we called it last week when we said, if she just apologized to Giselle's going to be like, it's cool, it's fine, we'll move on, because I think that's just who Giselle is. Yeah, like if you come with an apology, she accepts it and moves on, and I think that's really great. I'm impressed with Candace so far this season, to be really honest. I mean, she's had some tricky moments, but I definitely think it's a different Candace than we've seen in previous seasons so far.
I agree. I'm excited to see her grow. But we'll have to wait for next week to see the evolution of Wendy, because God only knows how that's going to... All she needs to do is wake up and go, wait, fucking sorry. Listen, I shouldn't have lost my shit like that. And we would all be like, okay, that's done. Fine.
Yeah, fine. Let's go have fun. We'll see.
And I also hope she doesn't do that, because I feel like that would be boring. We'll see.
Very true. Maybe she'll stir up some more.
Who knows? Okay, let's get back to it. Thank you so much for taking time to have a listen to that. And let's move on to Below Deck Mediterranean, where we have my favorite stew back on the boat, Aisha.
Yes. I love her so much. I feel she changes the entire vibe of the boat just by being on here. Like, she's cool, she's fun, she's easygoing, and it's a breath of fresh air, to be really frank. I really like watching Bugsy and Aisha be like the first and second stew. I think they're going to kick ass the rest of the season.
I do too. I think that Aisha, like you say, has brought this breath of fresh, positive, stress-free, light air, which obviously, as much as Hannah is who she is, she's not stress-free, she's not light. There's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think Aisha's energy is great. And I have to say, I predicted that her and Bugs would be great. I also predicted that her and Jess would be great. I'm not sure I got that right.
No, I think Jess is a little more emo than Aisha. And I think Aisha's happiness is going to grate on her a bit.
Yeah, I think Aisha's kind of constant positive outlook is going to wind Jess up something chronic. I also love Jess's like, why can't I be second stew? It's like, oh, babe.
Babe, you're shit.
Babe, you're a sweetheart, but you're not a second stew.
No, and you know that. Like, just be chill.
I have to say, I've done service. Like, I've done kind of that sort of thing. To be honest, if somebody said to me, just stay in laundry, I'd be like, fine. I don't have to deal with guests and run around do that. I'll just stay in fucking laundry. I'll watch my TV. I'll listen to my podcast. I'll fold laundry till the end of the day. I'm
Absolutely. That seems like by far the easiest place to be on the entire boat, and the least stressful.
Yeah.
Even having to steam, even if you had to steam guest clothes, I think I'd be okay with that, because I think you're absolutely right. I'd put on a podcast, watch my shows.
Done, right?
It'd be brilliant.
As you like. But Jess is sort of one for complaining, and that's, I think, what Aisha isn't. Like, Aisha will never complain. She just fucking gets on with it. Whereas I think Jess is looking for somebody that she kind of found in Hannah, that they could kind of bitch and moan a bit about.
Yeah.
And that's just not Aisha. So I think Jess might struggle. And I think Bugsy's going to respond really well to Aisha's positive attitude. So either Jess chooses to kind of step up, accept it, be part of the positive happy train, or she's going to get fucking steamrolled.
Well, and it's all up to her, because one thing I really like about Bugs as Chief Stew is like her encouraging, like she's really encouraging of Jess to like do the table settings, and like, you know, she's really trying, you know, be positive in her interactions with her and ways that she could improve and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, Hannah would not have done that.
No, she really couldn't care less. And I don't think, I'm sure Hannah was a great Chief Stew, but I think we've just seen in the last couple of seasons where she did 2 seasons too many almost, right? And she was done, and she walked onto a boat and just felt her heart sank a little bit. So I can get that, but I really love Bugs as a Chief Stew. I think she's excellent at her job, and like you say, her management skills are awesome.
They really are. I also like how Isha kind of breaks down the Jack situation in the beginning of this episode. She's like, by the way.
Yeah, there's no fucking around with her, is there? She's like, yeah, it was fine. And then I was just about to go and see him. And then on Instagram, it turned out he'd been shagging his ex-girlfriend. So I broke up with him, the fucking twat. Fair enough, yeah. I'd expect nothing less.
Absolutely. Way too good for that business. But I really liked how she kind of like addresses it. I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
I feel like I've never seen that before. Yeah. Like, usually they just get on and they don't like address their personal life, but she's like, this is what happened.
Well, that's what I love about it, though, right? There's no boundaries, there's no pretense. It's like, this is what happened, and there was no shame. It was, you know, how many times when you get cheated on by a boyfriend do you, like, it hits your confidence and self-esteem, and you don't want to talk about it because you feel like you're the problem, and she's like, no, she's got no time for that. She's like, no, he was a dick, he cheated. I am a fucking prize, and he's the wanker. Let's move on.
Absolutely.
Rob and Jess as well, continuing in there. Just, I know, it's a lot. It's too much. So anyway, let's just chat a bit about Rob. He is receiving text messages from his ex. And even before Jess finds out, whatever his ex is saying, it somehow affects his mood. I mean, to be fair, like...
He's so moody.
He's so moody. So moody. It's so exhausting. He's so emotionally volatile. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't do anything, and he like sinks into some sort of deep, meaningful, ponderous state, and it's just tedious. But and it just infects the rest of the boat.
No, it really does. I think he's either on or he's off. Like, there's no, like, I'm dealing with some stuff, but I can get through it. I think he has to, like, turn off and only focus on the stuff that he has to deal with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's no multitasking. He can't compartmentalize. It's like he can't put that in a box and just deal with that when he's not on deck. He's going to let it affect. And even Captain Sandy's like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody not even fake it for the captain.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this is your job, dude.
When she's like, you okay? I mean, the answer to your captain is, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine. I'm just going to get on and go do my job. That's what you need to say. He's like, no, I'm not.
I'm all turned off. I don't know what to do. Oh.
I feel like...
I'm going to go listen to The Cure in my room.
I feel more like he just needs plugging in and rebooting. You know, like he's kind of dead behind the eyes. You know those like funny memes of what's her name? Trump, Melania.
Yeah.
Her, where like every now and again the camera catches her and she's just like looking side to side like that, and somebody's like, does she just need rebooting? Like, do we just need to turn her on and off again? That's kind of how I feel.
Like
Rob
the old Nintendo games. You just need to blow on the circuit board a little bit and like turn it back on.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's like he needs turning on and off again. It's not working.
Yeah.
There's some sort of malfunction.
Someone call IT.
But also, like, when does he ever just like have a laugh?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing. And I mean, granted, he's had a pretty dark, like, personal past and things like that. And so I have empathy for him. But at the same time, it's just like, it can't always be about, like, your dark shit. And I mean, maybe that makes me insensitive, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, you're trying to woo this pretty girl and, like, do new things with her. Do new things.
I wouldn't take him to Bali.
No.
He's like the biggest Bali buzzkill ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I at first I was kind of like agreeing with him. He has no control over who texts him, but he does have control over how he reacts to it. And he doesn't have to text this girl back. He could block her if he didn't really want to talk to her.
Well, she's not his responsibility. She's going through some shit. But I mean, we don't know how it ended, all of that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, it isn't his problem. Like, yes, he can choose to help her if he can or whatever, but it's not his issues. It doesn't need to make him fucking miserable.
Yeah.
And I do agree. If she's texting him, that isn't his responsibility. And I think he could have told Jess a little bit sooner, but he tells her when he tells her. You know, there's lots of guys that wouldn't have told her. And that's not good. I feel like Jess is the girl that you don't tell that you're talking to your ex-girlfriend.
No, and I think ultimately that's probably going to be the breakdown of their relationship, right? Like, you have to be with someone that you can be honest with and just be like, hey, this girl's texting me. She's really going through some shit. You know, I care about her as a person. I'm just trying to help her out. It means nothing. And she needs to be okay with, like, you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do or you don't. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's either, and I can, I mean, I think it's a bit batshit crazy, but excuse me. I can understand why that might not be okay for somebody. Like, some women just cannot bear that, and it is what it is.
But then you be honest about it and be like, you know what, that really bothers me. We can't be in a relationship if you do that. Like, be a grown up about it. Don't be sulky and fucking weird.
Off and like this kind of just get out of bed and leave in a huff. And
then
rage text from the laundry room. Like, don't do that. That's
rage texting is never a good idea. It will always land you in the shit. Always.
Here's what I've learned. It's like, if you're raging and angry and you're feeling these emotions, literally the only thing you need to do is have a conversation with that person that's making you feel that way. That's all you need to do. You don't need to slash his tires or rage text or go and get shit-faced. I mean, I've been known to do a couple of those things, but the lessons I've learned are it never gets you anywhere good. The best thing to do is to be the bigger person, sit down, have the chat, figure that shit out like a grown-up.
Absolutely.
But talking of grown-ups, Bugsy's killing it, isn't she?
She is, and lovely little Alex just needs to get those balls and make his motherfucking move. I think we'll see it next episode.
Do you? Do you think it's coming?
I do. Yeah, I think it's coming. I think they have a kiss the next episode. I feel like that was teased at the end of this episode.
Excited. I really hope he needs to shit or get off the pot. And I don't know why he's such a sweet boy. I don't understand why it's so hard to ask her out on a date.
Yeah, I don't know. It's part of his charm, maybe.
I feel like we haven't had very many nights out. I think there was a night when they had to go to Ibiza early, so they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And I feel like it hasn't been quite the social kind of crazy that we've had on previous books, and maybe that's hampered it a little bit. But
yeah.
But I'm excited. If you say it's next episode, I am excited.
I think it's next episode. I think they have a night out in Ibiza.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That'll be messy. Rob will obviously have a miserable time because that just is the most awful thing in the world to have to go and have a night out in Ibiza. I don't know how
he
will cope.
We'll see.
But I'm sure we'll hear a lot about how fucking tough and miserable it is.
Yeah. We can definitely count on that one.
Excuse me, I've got something in my throat.
All right. While Kat is coughing, I'm going to take us to $1 Million Listing LA, which is the season finale, which is kind of good because we've run out of real things to talk about with this show.
Yeah. We've lost our enthusiasm for it a little bit, haven't we?
We have. However, I was super excited about the Seabright estate, like the Barrymore estate. This is why, if I was to ever get into real estate, I would want to get into real estate in LA because of the old Hollywood historical little finds. And so this house was originally being built by King Vidor in 1926, who was huge in Hollywood at the time. And then it was sold to John Barrymore, who's Drew's grandpa, in 1928. And then now it's Tony Scott's house.
That's where I got interested.
Yeah, the guy who did Top Gun. So, it's just a crazy house.
It is, but it's not an easy, it's not a house I'd buy. Do you know what I mean? It's, if you've got 60 million, unless you are buying that house because you're a massive kind of fan of Hollywood and you don't mind spending a ton of money on it, because that kitchen is crappy.
Oh, I mean, almost everything is crappy. I'm sure the pools has to be redone. It's an old ass pool. The trees were gorgeous. I mean, I think if you were if you had 20 million to spend on a house and you wanted the trees and the history, you'd buy that house, right? You could easily put $4 million into it and make it pretty kick-ass. But I loved the history of it. I couldn't believe there were redwood tree floors because I think it's illegal to do that now. They're
you can't
protected.
cut down a redwood anymore, yeah.
No.
But also, I loved watching Tracy and Josh Altman work together. They have become, I think, my two favorite real estate agents this season. I think mostly we've seen more of Josh than I have of Josh Flagg, for instance. I do love Josh Flagg, but this season I've really kind of fallen for Josh Altman in a way that I never have done before. And watching those two work together was cool.
I feel like Josh Altman's grown up a little bit. I think having kids and being married has really made him way more likable. And I feel like he's tempered himself a bit. I still like his over-the-topness because that's definitely who he is. But he and Tracy work really well together. I was impressed.
Me too. No, me too. I was as well. And then we have James and David with yet another overpriced house on their hands. I mean, it's just boring.
It really is. I mean, the house was gorgeous. I, again, don't know if it's worth what they're asking. I have no idea what gated communities go for.
I mean,
it's not my wheelhouse.
That it's not worth it. Nobody in that room thought it was. But
no.
I really want them to be cool people, but because they're English, I'm like, well, we're all cool.
Represent.
But he's just a little bit of a prissy, and he just gets a little bit sensy and reactive and defensive, and I'm like, it makes me feel like he feels very intimidated by the other people in that room.
Yeah.
And I think he does, but I don't think he has any reason to. They're still doing great stuff, but I just
Absolutely.
want a bit more fucking confident, and I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, did they have only one sale this entire season?
Maybe 2, because they sold that 3 million overpriced one with all the regulations that the guy really struggled with. They sold that one at the beginning, but for not very much. And then they also sold that one that Tracy didn't take.
Yeah.
The
Pasadena one.
But I think that was it.
No, because I think they sold a third one. It was for under, but it was with that other guy who was kind of half British.
Oh, they sold that one in the last episode. I mean,
yeah.
They're not doing badly, but
no. But the overpricing is tedious.
Yeah.
Like, it's tedious to watch, especially when you see other agents being like, no, I'm not going to list it for that price. It's overpriced. If you want to hang on to it for 60 days, you can list it at that price, but we want to get rid of it, so it needs to be this price. I mean, even Josh and Tracy in this, like, massive historical Hollywood home were like, we will never sell it for that. It needs to be this price. And they're confident on that. And I think that makes a huge difference. I don't know.
I do. It's also more interesting to watch. Do you know what I mean? I want to hear
Totally.
those conversations. So, yeah, they didn't sell it anyway. It said in the sort of the little roundup at the end that they didn't sell it. Unsurprising.
Yeah.
And that is it. That's the end of $1 Million Listing LA. And honestly, I feel they should use Frederick more.
Yeah. I think we'll see.
David less.
We'll see some shakeups next season, probably. And I don't know if they had to cut some things short for COVID, because obviously in the business that they're in, COVID pretty much shut it down. Because, I mean, California's been on lockdown longer than anybody has.
Yeah.
So who knows? But anyways.
And then finally, Real Housewives of New York. Again, an end of season finale. Kind of a damp squib.
Yeah, it was so meh. So meh.
It was. It was like I was waiting for something cool, and instead I had to sit through an inordinate amount of time of Luann singing an awful song.
Oh my word. Like, does she not know she can't sing?
I don't think she does. I think she's like one of those kids on X Factor that comes on stage and they're like, my mum says I'm really good and it makes her cry every time I sing. And then they sing, and you're like, yeah, did you ask anybody else except your mum? I mean, Luann, I just can't even. And it's so painful to listen to. And I also feel for, like, the guy who's written the song as well. So I'm like, his reputation's on. Surely he's sitting there going, this bitch can't sing.
Anybody can sing when they're auto-tuned and what have you. I mean, you can do pretty incredible things to people's voices in production. And I'm sure that that's what they will do. It's really, I think, more her persona, which I can kind of understand. Like, the song matches her persona a little bit, but when she was singing at Drag Queen Bingo, was I wrong, or was there a backing track with vocals singing along with her? So she was just, like, singing to a tape, like, not even proper karaoke.
No, it was bad.
It was
really bad. And you're right. I mean, they buy it because some people just throw money at it because she's Luann from Luann off the telly. But it just seems to make a mockery of everything and everybody else in the music industry.
Yeah. The only way I can buy Luann, like, I think it would be fun to go to her cabaret because it's like talking and that kind of thing. And her little songs could probably be fine in that sort of arena if you're not, like, being like, I'm a singer. No, I'm like a cabaret person. This is all tongue in cheek, whatever. I get that. But I don't understand the releasing of multiple singles.
No.
As if you are a singer.
Doing it for the money, let's be honest. But yeah, you're right. I think in cabaret you can get away with anything. You don't have to do, you don't have to be a singer. It's about the comedy. It's about not taking yourself too seriously. And I feel like, if anything, cabaret has at least taught Luann not to take herself too seriously at certain times while she's on stage with a microphone. I think the fact that Ramona didn't turn up is...
she's a dick, man.
She's a fucking self-absorbed
Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates by Jimmy Sims.